Hello, my name is Jay Hegler, and I'm the Chief Business Officer at Domo. I want to welcome you all to a conversation on revolutionizing modern BI for enterprise scale. Today, we're going to share with you some really exciting enterprise-grade tools that we've been working on over the past year. We've put a tremendous amount of engineering and expertise towards the challenge of getting value from enterprise-level data. We're going to get into the enhancements to existing tools and some incredible new products that we believe fundamentally change how businesses of all sizes will approach their data. When we talk about enterprise scale, it's not just a conversation about size. What we're interested in is complexity and scale, and how you can connect your sources, run faster analysis, and deliver real value to stakeholders in your companies. On average, our customers are connecting dozens of data sources in Domo. You're consuming hundreds of millions of rows of data, and in some cases, billions. You've got hundreds, thousands, even tens of thousands of users. So how do you meet the challenges of scale? How do you transform what has historically been something to be managed into an ever-expanding resource to tap into? Domo does it with Adrenaline Data Flows, Magic ETL with Integration Studio, and with Sandbox, the first ever cloud-native development operations environment. We have some big things to share today. Joining me, I have Domo's Enterprise Pipeline Architect, Andrea Henderson. Andrea is going to walk us through the benefits to our enterprise-grade tools. We also have Dan Gouveia, Domo's Principal Solutions Consultant, who's going to show us the speed and power of these tools with a series of high-octane product demonstrations. Finally, we have Grant Smith, Senior Analyst from the billion-dollar online retailer Sweetwater Sound. Grant will be sharing with us how Sweetwater is leveraging complex data to answer these questions that were previously unanswerable for their business.
My name is Grant Smith. I'm a senior data analyst and major Domo at Sweetwater Sound. Here at Sweetwater, we are the largest online retailer of pro audio and musical equipment. Our customers want to make music. They have that passion to make music. And with that pandemic, it was harder for them to get the equipment and things that they need. We want to help fulfill people's dreams of making music. Our internal digital marketing team had come to me and asked, hey, we would like some insight into our digital campaign giveaways. How effective are they? Are they actually worthwhile us doing? And we had data from a lot of different sources and things that we needed to try and process to figure out what exactly is happening here. And so with the Domo platform, it allowed us to combine all that data together to generate a report that we can then see over time of how well and effective these are. But the result was we had a fourfold increase, essentially, in the number of leads that we were able to generate from that. A lot of the processes that we had in place was a typical business process where everyone would fill out an Excel spreadsheet and everyone would then email it around to their boss and their boss's boss, and it was slow. It took several days out of the month just to generate this one report, and you're doing that every single month. And many of the teams were doing it, and it's just because that's the way it was. And that was sort of the established process that we had. We're going to take the data, we're going to put it all into Domo so that we can then have an established pipeline that has been vetted, has been approved, gives us sort of security in terms of, hey, this data is correct. We know that it's been processed the exact same way. We vetted that process. It is solid, right? There is no doubt in this data. And it allowed us to automate it too. So every day, every month, we would then generate the data, we'd take the report, and then we'd just email out that report. So now everything was pretty much just hands off. And we've saved every month, probably 10, 15 days of work alone in one department. And so it's been a big win for us in terms of automating that whole process and to establishing the sturdiness of that data that we have. You can easily just look at the entire ETL picture and get a quick and easy understanding of how data is being processed and flowing through things. In today's environment, data is actually a product. And so we need to be able to treat data as a product so we know that, hey, yes, we can use this to help make more insights and to make more money and to save money. Domo is fairly widely adopted here now across all of our departments here at Sweetwater. And every single one of them has the ability to dive into Domo to look at sales information, to look at stocking information or product information, to be able to better make decisions and recommendations. Domo allows us to process all of that data quickly and efficiently so that we can deliver the Sweetwater difference.
I'm Andrea Henderson, and I'm a manager for Enterprise Data Pipeline Architecture at Domo. My core role here is to identify, develop, and disseminate best practices for how our enterprise customers build their data pipelines. I came to this position on the enterprise team because, as a lead technical consultant, I had a deep background dealing with complex and scaled pipeline projects, as well as escalated types of implementations. As an engineer working with pipelines at some of the most mature and data-driven businesses in the world, I learned a lot about the needs of enterprise and where a lot of existing technology solutions hit their limits. The leaps we have made with Adrenaline data flows and Magic ETL are a massive unlock for the kinds of analysis and transformation that you can now run across billions of rows. We're seeing firsthand how our customers are crushing their runtimes on Redshift data flows by 1,000% or more. As a hardcore technical user myself, this is the kind of speed and agility I used to dream about. And finally, Sandbox is a complete game changer for how complex businesses work with their data. Sandbox enables you to safely test, innovate, develop, and promote complex data flows, transformations, dashboards in a single cloud-based environment. Let's get started with Adrenaline Data Flows, or ADF, which is built on the Adrenaline engine. Adrenaline is Domo's BI engine for querying, storing, and transforming massive input datasets. And Adrenaline Data Flows is one application of that engine, used to summarize and aggregate multi-billion row datasets into smaller datasets to power business-critical cards and dashboards. Users already experience the amazing speed and scale of our Adrenaline engine as it powers our cards and dashboards. But our more technical users asked for ways they could run SQL scripts directly in that engine. Why would you want to do that? Well, it allows users to summarize large data, increasing query speed and real-time response, which is super useful for specific scenarios and multiple ways of working. The key benefits of Adrenaline data flows are that we gave it the power you need to run business-critical analyses on subsets of your most massive datasets. Think of trying to find out how a given SKU is performing at a region of stores. It can process a multi-billion row input dataset into smaller summary datasets at lightning speed, performing analyses that used to take hours in minutes or even seconds. With it, you can maintain your most important cards and dashboards with confidence, avoiding timeouts and delays that can interfere with important insights or decisions. It is blindingly fast because it doesn't move the data in order to process it. The only data movement occurs on write back. Magic ETL is a central part of the Domo experience. For the new Magic ETL, we've brought some amazing performance enhancements that make the tool faster and more agile across the board. We're also introducing Integration Studio, which allows the value that you generate from your transformations in Magic to be seamlessly written back to all your data sources outside of Domo. This means that the benefits and insights that you get from working in Domo can be shared beyond the Domo platform. The key updates to Magic are that we've supercharged Magic, and the enhanced performance allows you to handle larger datasets at even greater speeds. We've also added a new auto-append capability that cuts down transformation times even further by transforming only new data rather than the entire dataset. New formula tiles bring the power of magic to SQL-fluent analysts like me, allowing them to create complex data pipelines using code alongside the traditional drag-and-drop methods. And the all-new Integration Studio that augments Magic's powerful pipeline creation by allowing users to also write back to source systems like data lakes and other critical systems. With Sandbox, we are introducing a fully cloud-native, pre-production development environment for all of your data flows, your cards, even your apps. Put more simply, we built a rock-solid cloud environment for development operations. You used to have to hack together this kind of solution using things like GitHub and offline systems. It just was not effective or efficient. You either had to compromise on what you could get done, or you had to do a lot of work to piece together something semi-useful. With Sandbox, we're delivering one integrated, governed platform where your users can develop, version, test, and promote their data flows, cards, dashboards, and even apps with no impact on production. We see Sandbox as especially valuable to organizations looking to level up their BI DevOps while simultaneously realizing additional cost savings. We developed Sandbox to help introduce an engineering approach and rigor to the process of data operations by managing and approving new content as it's developed. While process is important, we're just as excited about Sandbox's ability to encourage analysts to innovate and test without worrying about impacting customer or user-facing visualizations. By separating development and production environments, it helps BI teams to reduce downtime and errors in data, creating a more reliable experience for stakeholders and improving overall satisfaction. On top of all this, we built Sandbox in the cloud, so our customers can instantly leverage DevOps without having to spin up and manage it themselves. These enterprise-grade technologies, ADF, Magic ETL with Integration Studio, and Sandbox are allowing businesses to unlock value in their ever-expanding data resource. We couldn't be more excited about what our customers are doing with this new technology.
Enterprise-level data is in the midst of an evolutionary leap, and at Domo, we're right on the bleeding edge of that change. We've been working with a select group of enterprise beta testers over the past year to perfect enterprise grade, and we've been amazed by what they've achieved in such a brief period of time. Complex DevOps data projects, the kinds that used to have birthdays and cost lots of zeros, are now going through production in months, sometimes even weeks. Data is expanding faster than ever before, and the businesses that are clearly winning are invested in solutions to keep them evolving in lockstep with their data. Adrenaline data flows and Magic ETL remove the barriers to working with complex sources. Integration Studio opens a whole new opportunity to enrich your sources and build more sophisticated pipelines. Having all of this consolidated in an integrated cloud-based platform means you don't have to make compromises on workflow or worry about scaling. And now, with Sandbox, enterprise-level businesses can work with complexity in a safe, scalable way that allows deep testing to occur before anything goes live. I want to share a couple of anonymized examples for how some of our beta customers have been using Sandbox at scale. One of Domo's beta customers, a global CPG, uses Domo to connect tens of thousands of data sources for their global marketing efforts. Lots of SKUs, lots of products, lots of markets. I'm talking billions of rows of data accumulating every day that all needs to be analyzed and leveraged for different purposes and workflows. Prior to Sandbox, incremental changes to things like dashboards, pages, or cards, which were pulling in real-time live data, would have been published also in real time to their customers. With Sandbox, they now have a safe and governed space to test all of their projects, using real-time data with no impact on the underlying data. None. Just that feature alone is worth tens of thousands of hours of troubleshooting. Sandbox creates a separate DevOps location to build and test content and promote it only when it's ready. The net is a dramatic reduction in errors, a better customer experience, and an environment that inspires a spirit of experimentation and innovation. Another anecdote comes from a global media giant. This company set out to attract and retain the best game developers in the world. Now, how you create the best gaming experience from a development standpoint is you put mission-critical data back in the hands of the game creators themselves. This company needed a scalable environment to develop, test, and promote individual dashboards, so their partners would have access to relevant console and gameplay data to enrich the user experiences for their customers. We're talking about tens of thousands of partners, all with unique data sets. Working in the Sandbox environment, promoting only approved content, they were able to deliver granular game-level data right into the hands of the people who needed it the most. It's been a hugely successful project for the company and the game developers. Adrenaline data flows, Magic ETL with Integration Studio, and Sandbox. That's how we're revolutionizing modern BI for enterprise scale. Let's turn it over to Dan Gouveia to show us how all of this works. Dan?
Thanks, Jay. Hi, I'm Dan Gouveia, an enterprise solution consultant here at Domo, and I'm really excited to show you how these new capabilities can help organizations achieve enterprise scale. Let's get started with Adrenaline data flows. As an enterprise solution consultant, I work with large corporations to help them sift through the billions of rows of data that come in on a daily basis to help them make better decisions, whether it's top line or bottom line. So let's think about a sample use case here. We're an analyst team looking to understand the order history of a retail organization. That's a highly transactional data set and very voluminous. And when we start to look at this and explore the data itself, we can see that we have a 14-column, almost 2.3 billion row data set. That's huge. If we were to take a look at the data itself, we would see that it's composed of timing data, it's composed of location data, and it's composed of product data. And we can begin to understand how we're going to go ahead and start to write this query that we're going to go ahead and test Adrenaline data flows out with. As we look at Adrenaline data flows, we already mentioned that it's SQL being injected into the Adrenaline engine. We can see here we're in the Adrenaline data flow area. Here we see that really large data set, again, almost 2.3 billion rows. And here, a simple SQL query. Basically, we're taking that product, timing, and location dimension, and then we're wrapping it up with the summarization of our expected revenue, our actual revenue, and even creating a variance. And this is what we're going to go ahead and inject into that Adrenaline engine. Let's go ahead and see if it's really that fast. So as we go ahead and run this, we can see from prior runs that I only have 47 seconds to kill max. That means I have enough time to show you what it looks like if I was trying to do the same massive data set with typical SQL solutions. So here we can see up above, we have a Redshift SQL solution and a MySQL SQL solution. And these are great ETL capabilities. However, they're never geared at big data. And we can see from the error messages, MySQL, it ran past 24 hours and timed out. So it never even finished running. Redshift didn't fare much better. It never even was able to completely load the data itself. So here we can see why we want to have Adrenaline data flows. It helps us tackle that big data challenge. So coming back, looks like I spent enough time talking. We're already done processing that query. We just went through 2.3 billion rows of data and we cut it down to almost 10,000 records. Now I have the data that I want to do my analysis with. Now, under a minute, I can go ahead and start doing the true analysis. I can look at my variance and my trends. Did my actual revenue meet my expected revenue? How about from a timing perspective, year over year? How about from a product perspective? Was one product better than the other? Or even a location perspective, were certain geographies more successful in achieving their revenue goals or not? Magic ETL is a solution that my customers know and love. They use it all the time to bring lots of data together, normalize it, integrate it, and deliver business views that they can start to analyze. I think they're really going to like the new Magic because it makes things simpler and more efficient. Let's take a look. Starting with the use case, here's something that's familiar to almost any organization I work with. Return on ad spend. It's the perfect use case for Magic ETL. Why? You have disparate data sources coming together, all the different vendors that you're getting your clicks and impressions from. You have to normalize the data. You probably want to integrate it, if possible, to your campaign information so you can see how effective each campaign was. And you need to spit it out in a way that you can start to analyze it and build visualizations off of it. If we were to look at Magic ETL, the new version, what we'll see is something very similar and familiar. So we're not going to just shock our customers. Instead, we're going to ease them into the beautiful simplicity that we've woven into the new solution. So if we think about that return on ad spend, here we have multiple data sources, Google ads, Facebook ads. I have agencies dropping files in S3 for me to pick up, and I have agencies emailing me. And that's where all of the connectors come in to drop that data for me to work with. I also have to factor in my marketing campaign information. So when we think about all this information coming together, now I can start to see why Magic ETL is a great solution in general. But here, the new Magic ETL allows me to simplify. For instance, our agency data in the S3 bucket that I'm pointing at, it takes 3 steps for us to normalize it. We want to select the data, we want to go ahead and create a constant column that we can slice off of, and then we want to go ahead and calculate the click-through rate. If I look at the data that was emailed to me from the agency, I'm actually doing the same thing, except in less steps. So I'm still selecting the data I want, but with this new formula tile, this is a real game changer because I can do multiple steps inside of a single tile. What's more, I can create my own custom expressions that help to accomplish the task that I want, no matter how complex. When we think about having to bucket data, for instance, maybe we want to turn some of our marketing programs into seasons, so we can have a winter, spring, summer, fall season for our marketing programs. That work is made quite simple using this formula tile. What's more is I can leverage that work and pass it to another formula, which makes it even easier because I don't have to rewrite anything. So again, we're really just evolving the capabilities in the new Magic ETL. We're building upon the great things that the original version gave us and giving you much simpler, cleaner ways of transforming and integrating your data. When we look at being able to filter out data, we're somewhat limited to how complex our filtering rules could be. Formulas are now even woven into our filters as well. So no matter how complex they are, we can actually write an expression or a formula that allows us to filter out or filter in the data that we want to work with. But perhaps what's most exciting for our customers, mine in particular, is the ability for the Magic ETL to transform itself into Integration Studio. And what I mean by that is that not only do we create pipelines with Magic ETL that can go ahead and output data for analysis inside of Domo, but it can deliver that same data to the point of impact a business needs, whether it's a business system like a CRM, whether it's a data lake, so think about all those IT data strategies where we need to get data in there, or even a data warehouse. And what I'm talking about is right here. As I click on this right back tile, I now have the ability to go ahead and take that same data and put it where the business needs it. It's no longer just in Domo. People can't complain that, well, it's in Domo and I can't get to it. Now I'm delivering it right where you need it. The same data I'm using, I'm giving to you. Again, business system like marketing automation or CRM, IT data strategy in the form of a data lake, or even just dropping it into a data warehouse or data mart for another analysis tool to pick up. This is why I'm so excited about the new Magic ETL. In my role, I service some of the largest customers: pharmaceuticals, banking and financial services, insurance. And these are some of the toughest customers when it comes to locking things down. In other words, they want to have a great deal of governance to ensure we're not going to mess things up in production when we're still mucking around with ETLs back in development. And this is where our new capability, Sandbox, really comes into play. And this is something I'm really excited about because now I have a capability I can have a really good conversation about with these folks. And what this does, in my opinion, it gives us just-in-time governance to make sure that as I'm developing and making changes in development, I'm not messing anything up in production. Let's take a look at a use case here. I have a CRO forecast. This is what our Chief Revenue Officer is going to base critical business decisions off of. These are all the forecasts coming in globally from all the different teams. This data can't be wrong. And it really emphasizes the point of these IT teams I work with at my customers. We just can't mess the data up because we're making huge decisions off of this. And so when we think about the data flow behind this, we're pulling in quoted data from an Oracle system. We have a form that we're filling out to do our forecast. We're using Salesforce to bring all that opportunity data in. And as we start integrating this and we start doing some dynamic calculations and start integrating it in different ways, it can't affect what we've already done and what the CRO is already basing his or her decisions off of. So I get it. I really do. And this is where, coming to our Sandbox capability, we can start threading that governance or that just-in-time DevOps to give us that ability to segregate our dev work from the decisions being made off of production. So what we're looking at here is a repository in Sandbox. It's a way for us to go ahead and encapsulate different assets: data flows, views, cards, stories. So whether we're doing content development or data engineering, I can put them into a repository and version them and then decide when I want to promote them to another stage, be it test or production. If we look at the repository I set up for my ETL I just showed, I'm simply versioning a data flow. Simple in concept, powerful in reality, because as I make changes to that data flow, I can capture the new versions. So that means I can revert back if I ever need to, and I can promote forward as the IT teams I work with like to do. What's even more powerful is that I can promote across instances. Think about that. I can have multiple Domo instances in a single organization. Dev, prod. This is what most enterprise organizations are asking for. So when I jump over to my production instance, and as I navigate here, we can see the same repository that I just showed you in dev. And what's powerful about this is now I do have the concept of promoting across Domo instances, so I can segregate development work from production, and I can protect business decisions from trying to come up with an innovative new way of working my ETL. Simply clicking the promote button allows me to bring that data flow that we looked at into production. And now I have a new asset that plugs in transparently to what my CRO is already using. Now they're getting the enhancement that we've already developed, that we've already tested, and we know is fit for purpose. So Sandbox becomes a really valuable tool when we talk about governance. And as businesses make more and more critical decisions off of the analysis that we have in Domo, having a capability like this is going to be huge. We talked about Sandbox in the context of data engineering. updating an ETL, and then promoting it into production. However, Sandbox also supports more of a content development paradigm, meaning that I can put my cards and stories into a repository as well, so I can iterate on those. Because after all, they are a development effort unto themselves. What's more is I can also engage in approval process, whereas now I can ensure that it's not just up to me to hit the promote button, but instead I can have an approval chain that we navigate until we get the green light to move things into production. So Sandbox really does give us that ability and freedom to innovate while really giving us strong governance when needed. Domo has spent the last 10 years helping our customers achieve their modern BI goals at enterprise scale. And one thing we've learned over those past 10 years is that there will always be new challenges. Today, we introduced 3 new capabilities to help our customers address those challenges. I'd like to thank you for spending time with me today looking at these capabilities. And now I'll pass it back to Jay.
Thanks, Dan. As enterprise companies accumulate more and more data every minute, managing, governing, and making sense of the data becomes not just a nice to have, but an essential requirement for survival. The companies who are winning are actively looking for better ways to extract value from their data, empowering their people with insights to improve their impact on the business, which isn't always a straightforward process. The data pipelines, dashboards, and apps they use every day must be governed and trustworthy. There are a lot of piecemeal solutions, even within massive organizations. The tools and technology we've covered today are a revolution in how businesses can get the power of modern BI for all at an enterprise level scale. It's taken us about 10 years and close to $1 billion to develop the technologies and approach to empower more people by giving them an understanding of just how valuable their data can be when the barriers are removed. Domo was built in the cloud. We see scale as a byproduct of successful companies who are future-proofing their tech stacks, becoming digitally transformed. When your data gets big, really big, Adrenaline Data Flows is the tool to help by reducing runtime. Integration Studio helps customers better automate, schedule, and create sophisticated data pipelines, delivering value for many core business functions, including hydrating data lakes. Finally, Sandbox helps customers innovate faster by providing a clean room for inviting more people to build more content, all in a tightly governed experience that fits nicely into your development processes. If what we shared with you today sparked an idea for how to get more from your data, don't hesitate to get with your account teams. They're just as excited as I am about getting this stuff out in the world. So let's talk about timing. Magic is going live for GA this fall. We can't wait to get this stuff in your hands. Adrenaline Data Flows, Integration Studio, and Sandbox can be requested from your account team to start a trial today. Thank you so much for joining us.
We are excited to see where and how you'll deploy these tools in your organizations. We really believe that ADF, Magic with Integration Studio, and Sandbox will revolutionize how you look at modern BI for enterprise scale.